Right. So this is the first of a number of interviews we're going to be doing with people who are involved in construction and property linked online. And we just want to find out about the person behind the business, really, and what their business is, what they're looking to achieve. And we're also going to then dig into people's experience of networking, whether it's good, bad, indifferent, whether they like it, hate it, who cares? Let's get it all real. So I want to introduce you to John McCarthy from Property Joint Ventures. So, and I'm going to ask a few questions and say to John, can you tell us a little bit about your business, what it is, and then move on to what's the spark that prompted you to set the business up?
Yeah, sure. So we've got, our business is predominantly property development. So I'd say probably at the moment we're probably doing sort of 70%, 70% of the business is sales and marketing. But I'm trying to spin that round so that it's 70% development and 30% sales and marketing. So yeah, I mean, we tend to do investor-led development. So we do a part. Liverpool is very much an investor-led city when it comes to development. In that, it's certainly in the city centre. It's apartment buildings that are sold fractionally to off-plan sales investors. It's a model that's used throughout the UK, but it's very, very prominent in Liverpool because we don't tend to have those big institutional funds that come in and buy blocks. So that's what we look for. We look for buildings that we can convert into apartments. We look for land that we can put through planning. I don't tend to get involved in sort of new build development, so I like the conversion projects. I like to flip the land to bigger developers. And we look for stuff that can be sold on to buy-to-let investors, and we sell it off plan. And the reason we do that is that it gives the valuers, the lenders comfort that we'll exit the project at the value that we say we're going to exit it for, which means that they give us decent terms on our finance.
Well, you just raised one thing there that struck me during COVID, which was when everyone was locked down, all the city centres were empty and everyone was furloughed. So all the restaurants and bars were closed down, and everyone was forecasting that they may not all come back. And at the time, I'm an amateur looking on, I was thinking conversions of office blocks into residential, there might be an uplift in that post-pandemic.
Yeah.
People just go back to hybrid. And are you seeing that is happening now, or has happened? Or
I mean, I think a lot more people work from home now, and I think a lot of more people want to work from home now. I work from home. Me missus works from home, and a lot of jobs now have got that sort of they build a hybrid ability into the job description, don't they? I mean, personally, I think that all of those old office buildings in the city centre should be converted into apartments. And I think, we've got loads of land sort of around the docks, Peel, and what have you, and we should be building sort of new build office buildings to Grade A standard. All of those old buildings most of them need a new lease of life. And they're perfect for hotels, they're perfect for serviced accommodation, they're perfect for young professionals who want to live in the city centre, which I've never done, but I wish that I did.
Okay, well, in terms of the investment opportunities that you have, I guess you're looking for introductions from investors. So I'm an investor. I've got 100 quid. I'm probably not the type of person you want. 100 quid, am I? Is it? What's the sort of level that an investor would come to you with?
I don't know. So like we've got a number of property strategies that we are looking to implement. The sort of the basic strategy, as I would call it, sort of maybe 50k.
Yeah,
And that what I'm looking to do is sort of build up a property portfolio. And you might think that's sort of counterintuitive because there's a lot of negativity in the market at the moment about buy to let and interest rates going up. But I've been doing this for 20 years, and when I was buying properties 20 years ago, the interest rates were, the mortgage rates were 5%. That was just standard. Everyone's lived on for 10 years on 2% mortgage rates and had a great time with it. But ultimately, when I started, the rates were 5%. Also, I think with inflation high at the minute at 4%, that just means that property value is going to keep going up. In that, I think property goes up with property prices go up with inflation. So if we have 10 years of high inflation, that means that house prices are going to double over the next 10 years. If the mortgage rates come back down, at some point we're going to hit a crash, and that's also a great time to buy. But I think now, I personally think now is a great time to buy, and I'm looking to build like some of the properties that we bought just coming out of the last crash in 2010. They've all doubled in value. We bought them at sort of 75 grand. They're all worth 135, 140 grand.
yeah,
And if I'd have known then what I know now, I'd have bought more.
yeah,
But I'm looking, so that's what I'm looking to do at the moment. I'm looking to build up a property portfolio, and to buy sort of below market value, so that if we do ever hit a crash, house prices are going to drop 10, 15, 20%. But if you're buying the right properties at the right price and you're adding value through refurbishments, then you're never going to hit that negative point, that negative equity point. And then you hold for 10, 15 years, they double in value, and then you exit and you make a lot of money. You make some money out the rent, but the real money is made through capital appreciation while
yeah.
while inflation sort of pays off your property value.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah,
I can officially say that you're saying Zig and everyone else is saying Zag.
yeah, definitely. But
It's almost
so
the
the strategy is called um, buy, refurbish, rent, refinance. It's BRRR. And it's basically buy a property in auction. I live in West Derby, so I tend to buy around West Derby because it's an area I know. It's also an area that's got reasonable capital appreciation. The demographics of the area means that people can afford the rent, and as inflation puts up the prices of rents, that people can continue to
yeah,
afford the rents, and therefore the house prices increase. If you know what I mean. So
yeah,
I think capital appreciation in sort of West Derby is about 5% per annum. In the city centre, it's probably 6 or 7%. But with city centre properties, you've got the lease. You've got service charge and ground rent, which I think wipes out your margin. So I don't tend to buy apartments in the city centre, even though it's got high
yeah,
capital appreciation. I buy sort of outside the city centre, because then you've got the freehold property, you haven't got your service charge and ground rent, and you've still got a reasonably good capital appreciation, and a good tenant demand as well, because you're in a true residential area, which
yeah.
city centre is not 100% true residential.
And
So yeah,
L12, you pay less for your car insurance in L12.
do you? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, is it? Yeah. So there's benefits all around. So yeah, we look for properties that we can buy sort of below market value, that we can refurbish through our professional team. We then rent the property out. And there's a thing now where, which never used to be the case, you used to be able to refinance, you used to be able to buy a property day one and then refinance it. But now you've got to wait 12 months before the bank will give you any more capital out. So we'll refurbish the property, we'll hold the property for 12 months and tenant it. Then after 12 months, we'll look to refinance it on the new capital value, the new capital value. And we generally, if you look at, say, just for basic figures, say you're buying a property for sort of 100 grand, you'd be putting sort of 25% into the deposit. You'd be putting sort of 5k in for legals and all the other good things that you've got to do, valuations, etc. You're probably putting 15 or 20 grand into a refurbishment, so you're thereabouts in for like 40, 50k. So then through that refurbishment process, you'd be looking to hopefully increase your capital value by enough where you can take out 70% of your initial investment. And then say you're left with like 10 grand left in the project. Now, if you're doing a sort of a joint venture with me on that and you're earning 2 grand a month, 200 pound a month, sort of 2 grand per annum, and you're getting a sort of 25% return on the money that's left in. So I think, whereas if you're buying in the city centre and you haven't got the ability to add value because you're buying a new property, you'd have to leave that 50k in, and then you're getting a 6 or 7% return on your money. So I just think that this sort of BRRR is a great way to grow a portfolio with less money, and you're also getting better returns on the money that's left in. So that's like
and you're more resilient to a crash.
Yeah, that's it. You've added value, so you've got your 25% equity in the property, and you're not going to hit that negative equity point.
Yeah.
So that's a strategy that I've used myself when I was younger. Like when I started in property, sort of in my early 20s, I moved away from it and started doing sort of development projects. And we put about 500 units through planning at the moment. We've done 11 development projects. Most of the projects that we see through are conversion projects, sort of 5 units to 30 units. We've done a few like land developments where we bought an acre of land in the city centre, and we put it through planning and achieved 175 apartments or 200 apartments. Increased the capital, increased the land value significantly, which helps for a good exit. What I'm trying to do now is sort of I'm a bit older now, I'm 41 this year. I need to build up my pension pot. So that sort of be our strategy is a good sort of cash flow. It's a cash flowing strategy because you're getting your rents, but you're also building up that capital appreciation, which ultimately will be your pension pot in the next 10, 15, 20 years. Still doing the developments, and still looking for investors to work with on those. But that's a different strategy. That can be anywhere between sort of 100k in to 250k in to 500,000k in, depending on the size of the project. And that's just that's a big lump sum at the end, which then you can go and buy your pension pot with. You can go and buy your properties with.
Yeah. Okay. Brilliant. So really appreciate that. That's a really good overview of you and your take on the property market, and it's a fascinating strategy. It's good to hear that people are saying invest now. What I wanted to move on to, and we did kind of just briefly touch upon this beforehand, and I'll just give you the excuse in advance. Well, we're fascinated to hear people's views on networking, and I'm not sure you're the most enthusiastic networker. So how would you describe networking from your point of view? Do you see yourself as a networking introvert, extrovert, and what's your view on networking moving forward?
I mean, my personality type is definitely introverted. I'm definitely not a social butterfly. Quite technically minded, and I don't. I mean, I can talk to you all day about property because that's what I do. It's what I love. But give me any other subject, and I'm probably not so communicative. And it's something I'm trying to work on. But yeah, networking has just never been for me.
Yeah,
Probably I'm just not in the social circles. I don't know how I stumbled upon your group. I was in
yeah,
your original group many years ago,
yeah,
and then I've joined this group recently. But yeah, I never really see any networking events. I never really go to any networking events. When I very first started out in property, so I was 21, I was looking to go to networking events. I was going to like the Simon Zucci Pin Network. A fella called Gareth Barry was doing networking events in the Village Hotel in
yeah,
Iton. And I hated them. Like I used to go, sit there, not speak to anyone. Come home with no real benefit of going £20 down, and somebody had tried to sell me for 45 minutes. And I've not really, so I don't really go to any network events. And it's something I'm keen to do, and something I'm
yeah.
interested in learning more about doing because I need to get myself out there and sort of build my business up again.
Well, to be honest, this is our first interview, and this is an ideal interview from my point of view because if I tell you what we've done, because you've not actually been on any of the Zooms yet or been to
No.
the first event, we've only had one, so I guess the first thing is that I'm actually a networking introvert, even though a lot of people mightn't understand that because I'm doing the Zoom hosting, but I've actually found that you've got to kind of create networking events to suit the introvert because there's lots of talented people out there who can join in. So what we're doing with the in-person event, for example, is when you arrive, and we did this the other night, and we were conscious that there were a lot of people who were new to networking. We actually pair people up for a one-to-one chat on arrival, because then you can just go and grab a drink, grab a bite to eat, and we even give you some guidance sheets on the table, which you can ignore, or you can follow them, and it just gives you kind of a little structure to follow, or just ignore it and have a chat. And
Uh-huh.
the thinking behind that is that the worst thing for an introvert going into a crowded room is feeling the need to tackle the crowd, and that completely nullifies that. So I don't know what you think.
I did read one of your one of the posts that you put out on. I don't know if you put it out separately or put it in the group. You talk about your format, and I think it's a great format that you've got.
Yeah,
And I think the way you do pair people, and then you break that ice, and straight away
yeah,
you broke the ice, and you get yourself talking, and then you become the social butterfly and talk to other people.
yeah. Well,
I think that format's amazing.
well,
And then you got,
the other thing we do, we did this the other night, is we have a guest speaker who has got a topic for the night. And it might be construction related, it might be property related, or it might be just general business. So we did a 10-minute talk on the power of saying yes and shared his experience, and then posed a question to the audience. Because after the one-to-ones, we put you on tables of 4 to 6 people. And I get what you mean about the social butterfly. It's not knowing what to say. But when you've just had somebody talking for 10 minutes on a subject, you've developed some opinions and thoughts. And then they pose a question to tackle in a small group as opposed to a big crowd. That's sort of stage 2 of relaxing people. And by then, some people have had a pint or two or a drink or two, and they're relaxing into it. It's only then that we do a little bit of structured networking because you've got to kind of ease people into it. It's people getting to know each other and building the trust. So, and I think a lot of people were converted the other night.
Yeah, it sounded like you had some good feedback on the WhatsApp chat. I'm sorry I didn't make it. As
All
I was
right.
saying to you before, I had a call at 5 o'clock, which lasted 45 minutes, and then there was
Yeah,
no point in
don't worry.
coming.
Don't worry about it. Yeah. So the other thing we were doing is Zooms, and you've not done one of these, so you're ideal to ask. And it's difficult to describe this in writing, which I've tried to do with people. So basically, what we do is we ask people to just do a 45 to 60-second quick snapshot overview of what they do in turn. And again, that's designed for the introvert in terms of they they can prepare for that. And most people can describe what they do and what they're
Yeah.
looking for. And when you do that, it's just like there can be anything from 15 to 20 people on the call. So each person in turn does that. And you kind of know what to expect. So that I feel that's introvert friendly. And then what we do is one-to-ones in a breakout room. And the reason being that everybody in construction or property has got their own network and people that they can introduce you to. And if you've got
Yeah.
5 minutes each, you can go into a little bit more depth.
Mhm.
It's not as intimidating to have a one-to-one chat. I know as an introvert myself, one-to-one, I'm normally fine. In a group, I'm a little bit more nervous. But what's your immediate reaction to that? And would you give that a go?
Yeah, I mean, I've never done a group. I don't think I've never done a group Zoom like on that scale. But yeah, I'm not against it. Like when we were in COVID and like Zoom became a big thing, my missus was in the living room with all her mates
Yeah,
on a big Zoom chat, having a wine and that. I never got into that, introverted. But no, I'd give it a go.
yeah,
I think your Zoom calls tend to clash with me taking my kids to football, but
yeah.
if you're doing different times, then
Well,
I'm
we
happy to
are.
go on.
I mean, I'm always conscious that videos date, but at the time of recording this, we're doing Monday at 4 p.m., but we're also going to be launching in the next 2 weeks, Wednesdays at 10 a.m.
Yeah,
And we will do a third event per week once we've grown a little bit more because
yeah.
the events have been filling up too much. We've had to stop taking bookings on them. So, but yeah, I'll keep inviting.
Yeah.
Just ignore them until you're ready.
No, I'd be interested because, as I say, like I have a very small network of people that I go to for everything, and some
Yeah.
of them are not the best, but I know them and I go to them, so it'd be nice to expand my network.
Yeah, because I guess with what you do, when you've got a project, that's when you need to resource it. So you've got the investment sorted. So
Yeah,
that's when you maybe need to expand your team, and this
yeah.
network could be useful for you because
No,
you
no,
get to know
definitely.
people who can plug a gap. If you use your person is not available, then you could maybe give one from this community a go, perhaps.
No, I mean, as a property developer, depending on which part you are in the cycle, you need different people. But when we got a project on site, then we need lots of people, lots of different people. Structural engineers, architects, M&E engineers, QSs, construction workers,
Yeah,
builders. So I need the whole range of people that you've got in that group
yeah,
at certain points of time. But at the minute we're trying to build up our pipeline again. We had a significant crash during COVID where we went
yeah,
from a pipeline of 400 apartments to zero because an investor caught a cold and pulled out. So what where we are in the cycle at the moment is we've got a site of 7 apartments that were just going through the legal process on the finance. Once the finance is sorted, we'll be on site and then we'll be tendering. We're looking at a hotel which will be going through a refurbishment project, but at the moment I'm still offering. then I'll be looking for finance, and then I'll be looking for construction. So at the minute, at this moment in time, I'm looking for like investors and projects, and then very shortly I'll be looking for the full range of professional services from the construction industry.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, well, I really appreciate your time today, John. And if I was a real professional, I'd have some fancy music to go out on and some fancy animated graphic, but I don't.
I'll sing for you if you like.
I won't put you on the spot, don't worry. And I won't sing either because we don't want to put people off tuning in to the next one. So I'll thank you for your time, and appreciate it. I hope to see you on the Zoom soon.
So do I.
Cheers. Thanks, John.
Cheers, Ian.